Hello, hi everyone. Assalamualaikum. This is our unit in designing for instructional materials, which is for CLM5034, Principles of Teaching and Learning. We are doing this unit asynchronously because this week is a holiday break. So I would like for you to go through the materials when you have the time. And first of all, I would like to welcome you to the session. I will try to complete this as quickly as possible. And all the materials are actually ready for your use in ELIP. And you will be able to do the quiz once you have completed the unit itself. So when we try to design learning materials, one of the things that we need to be sure about at the very beginning is how do we make learning happen? Yeah, how do we make learning happen? So these are some of the questions that should be at the forefront before we begin to think about how we are planning to design the materials themselves. So when we say that we want to know how exactly learning happens, we need to understand the process that makes learning happen. So first of all, it's always a good idea to start with very clear learning objectives, very clear learning outcomes. And this is the reason why in Unimas we have spelled out, yeah, specifically what are the course learning outcomes. So when you have the course learning outcomes, you use those learning outcomes to define the goals that you would have for specific topics that you'll be teaching throughout the semester. So having these clearly defined learning objectives will help your students to understand what they are expected to learn and to provide some kind of a roadmap, some kind of a guide for them to go through their learning journey. So it is advisable to use a varied and engaging set of teaching methods. Yeah, we try to diversify how we teach, how we talk to the students, how we present our materials. Yeah, we can use lectures, discussions, hands-on activities. You know, what type of hands-on activities is really up to you, and depending on the kind of content that you have, and as well as the level at which you would like the students to grasp the mastery, yeah, of the content and also the skills which is related to what you're teaching. And also multimedia resources, if you have them, use them where you think is appropriate. And hopefully this will be able to keep the students engaged and interested in the material itself. um, Another thing that we know that makes learning happen is when the learning process itself is active. Yeah, active learning. I think you hear this many times already in the course, in the program. Encouraging students to actively participate in their learning through activities such as problem solving, yeah, discussions, collaboration, helping can help to facilitate deeper understanding and the retention of the materials themselves. So it's not just about doing things, but rather engaging with the content while they're doing things. So I think we discussed this in the previous sessions that it does not mean that when we have an activity, people are actually learning anything. Yeah, so we have to be quite careful. We have to be quite conscious about what is it that we are getting people to do, yeah, in order to learn something. And the other point that I would like to make out is the timely and targeted feedback. um, Feedback is really important in order to help students grow, yeah, because by providing feedback they will be able to know what are their strengths and what are their areas to improve, so that we can guide their process of learning. And the other point as well, which is quite important in making learning happen, is to set up a positive learning environment. So when we have a positive learning environment, students feel that they're welcome to the class. Yeah, they're supported. Yeah, they feel that they're inclusive. Yeah, the classroom is inclusive. So how do we make this happen? When we come to the class, set the tone. Yeah, set the tone, set the tempo, so that the students will be able to gauge, like, you know, how they are felt to be welcome in the classroom itself. They will feel comfortable, and when they feel comfortable, they will become more motivated to participate in your activities, and also hopefully to be more motivated to learn. Yeah. So, and another point is about personalizing the learning experience, meaning that we probably need to make some adaptations like throughout the course, where we need to tailor the learning needs, so that it meets the interests of individual students. Yeah, to make the learning journey a bit more relevant and engaging for them, because there will be some students in the class who are not your norm. Yeah. And we have, as an instructor, we have to be able to gauge this, and to be able to point out, to sort of decide like which ones actually need a little bit more time, which ones actually need something a little bit different, or maybe there's one or two who are super quick in terms of understanding the contents, and they are not paying attention to the rest because they feel that they already know the content. So what do we do with these 1-2 students? So these are some of the things that we constantly need to be ready for. Yeah, it may not be needed for the whole class, but we should at least provide some kind of a personalization of learning for these people who need maybe extra attention. Yeah, by implementing these strategies, we can create a learning environment, hopefully, that will be a bit more conducive for the students, and they will find it to be a bit more positive, yeah, for them to achieve their learning goals. So in terms of the university education, there are 4 things that I would like to talk about today. Yeah, this is before we are thinking about the design of the actual instructional materials. These 4 literacies are things that must happen, yeah, for the students when they come into the university. Number 1, they need to know assessment literacy. Assessment literacy meaning that they need to know what actually counts, yeah, in a university education. How do they show that they're able to achieve what is needed to be done in terms of written, oral, practice, yeah, or even the way that they team up, the way that they work in collaboration with other people. So these things may not be clear to them before they come into the university. So the way that we present our courses, we need to ensure that they understand this, because we cannot be just providing them an assignment and then to say that, okay, you go and do it. Yeah. So when they understand the level of assessment, and also the standard of work that is required for that assessment, then they will be able to at least try and attempt, to gauge that level that we have set for them. So and this actually happens in all the courses that they take in the university. Number 2 is academic literacy, which talks about the tuning in to exactly how the work of a university is gauged at, yeah, where students should focus their strategies in the quest to succeed, mastering the content knowledge that they're learning. So this academic literacy comes in the form of not just the assessments, but also in the way that they participate in class, the way that they present their ideas, the way that they argue about ideas, the way that they find positions about things, the way that they shape the way that they talk with their teammates, for instance, and then to get that to present to the course instructors and all that. So that is academic literacy. Yeah. Information literacy, number 3, is about the ability to interact with information and communication technologies, which are already available around them, particularly in terms of locating what are the things that the subject matter would actually need. Yeah, finding resources, using the resources, how do they actually use the resource itself? Yeah, and how much do they know is enough for a university education level sort of learning. And the last one is actually social literacy. Social literacy refers to the further development of skills to work effectively with each other, yeah, and to interact fluently with other people who are around them. So it's not just with their peers, it's also about the instructors, the way that they communicate with faculty members, for instance, and anybody who they meet along the way while they're at university. Yeah, the librarians, yeah, people who take care of their student records, for instance. So all these things are what we call social literacy, yeah, in order to help them to adapt effectively while they are on campus. Yeah, and this is towards building their personal development, actually, their personal their personalities, really, so that they'll be able to obtain suitable career opportunities, you know, after they finish studying with us. So these are some of the things which probably may not be very obvious, yeah, but at the university, these are what all of us as instructors would be reaching out for, yeah, in the way that we talk to our students, the way that we design our courses, so that they are able to utilize these literacies in the courses itself. Maybe not specifically on just one, but perhaps an accumulation of all three or all four, yeah, of these literacies into the way that present our materials. So I want to focus on the academic literacy, because academic literacy relates specifically to the content knowledge that we are presenting in the classroom. Now, academic literacy refers to all this, yeah, knowledge about protocols of conduct in the classroom. How do they behave? Yeah, how do they carry themselves? How do they talk in class? How do they address instructors? Next is about how to choose and read and use reading approaches. Yeah, how do they select things that they want to read, bring that to the classroom and talk about it in the classroom. The next one is about ability to recognize what plagiarism is. Yeah, so there are many types of what you call it, resources that's already available for the students, and how do we get them to exercise their decision making, yeah, in terms of the knowing which ones are fair use, which one can be utilized, but they need to cite the original author, for instance. How much is plagiarism, you know, how can they paraphrase the ideas and stuff like that. So all these are skills, yeah, that need to learn, and also knowledge about how to write academic papers. So this is not something that is natural to a lot of people, because when you are coming up with academic papers, you tend to want to uh, uh, find that style, yeah, the writing style, or the language, yeah, in terms of how you want to produce it, how you want to convince people, backed up with citations, the correct citations or the relevant citations, in order for people to buy into the idea that you wish to put forward, yeah, in your writing. So this is very important, yeah, in terms of getting the students ready for that kind of intellectual capability, yeah, so that they can carry this forward when they move on and you know, find their suitable careers and whatnot. So academic literacy also refers to the levels that the students should know how to pitch their vocabulary, not just in writing, actually. It's also in the way that they talk, yeah, in the way that they talk to your students, your peers, and also instructors. So what it means here is that the terminology of you know, talking about things has got to be appropriate. Yeah, they cannot be talking about, say, using layman terms to talk about something which is specifically technical. Yeah, if they want to break down a formula, for instance, or they want to argue whether the formula is good enough or is relevant for a certain problem, you know, how do they talk about it and all that. So the what we can give as instructors is really the practice as to how to do this properly. The next is to be able to meet expectations, to make arguments and proposals at the university level. So time and again, you know, we come up with assignments. These assignments are supposed to help students shape their own arguments, yeah, shape the way that they position their thoughts, their ideas, the conceptions about things, and to be able to present it in a coherent manner, so that other people can appreciate, and also to give feedback, really, yeah, about the way that they are presenting their work. And the next bit is about ability to back their own ideas using authoritative quotes. So how do they choose which quotes are good enough, yeah, to stand, to support the ideas that they have. And the last one here is on the appreciation about the skills to edit and to improve work continuously. Being at university, I think students must realize that the work that they submit to us is not like first draft, therefore you send in, that kind of thing. It has to be something which is continuously worked on, and they should be ready for this. Yeah, they should be ready to get comments and to get feedback, and to go back to the drawing board, and think about how to do this, essentially. So I wanted to start the session with this information, and this idea about thinking about all these literacies first, because when we understand that, then it will be easier for us to sort of gauge, like, how do we start in terms of designing the actual instructional materials. So when we build the instructional materials, it actually fits into what is actually required, what is expected, yeah, at the university level sort of education. So I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to continue with the rest of the slides in the next recording. All right, so thank you very much, and come back again soon. Bye.